What's going on, guys? Let me know if my audio's okay. As always, I was gone for a week, so there's all these gremlins going on. We're gonna go in a second. Figured I'd jump in a couple minutes early because I might have to hop out a little early. I don't know yet. We're gonna find out. We're gonna find out together. All right. How's everybody doing? Let me know if the audio's all right. If it's bad, it's your fault. It's not my fault. It's all your fault. Don't forget about that. Let me do this and let me do this. What is going on? All right. Hey, welcome back, everyone. Been a minute. All right. We were over in Vegas for WPPI. If you were there, it's nice to see you. I know Tony was there. And just kind of getting my bearings back. I'm not going to lie to you. I've got half my voice back, not all of my frontal cortex, but we're going to go forward. Everybody, Quinn. You haven't seen Quinn in a while. What's going on? What's going on, Michael, Tony, David, Brian, Edgar? What's going on? So Edgar over there in Vegas. We gambled for a little while till that table turned a little meh, you know. I actually didn't get any questions on my Instagram story this time. So, and I know I threw it up there kind of late, but still. So if you guys have any questions that you guys want to get into today, type a bunch of Q's in the chat and I'll try to jump on there. Before we get into anything like that though, we are going to talk about what's coming up because this week is stacked. We made sure to get a bunch of stuff hit the ground running as soon as we got back. Okay. So what you're looking at is the events page. And tomorrow is a women's photography panel with Susan Stripling, Krishana Keene, Marcelina Sau, I don't know how to say her last name, Sawa, and Kesha Lampert with Susan Stripling moderating it. Got a double header on Wednesday. This is going to be very cool. Wednesday, Meg Lukes is coming. She's going to be on Call for Creators. And then she's going to be doing a live demo at 5 p.m. on this channel. Small sets, big feelings. So basically, high concept in a small space. She does a lot of self-portraiture, a lot of stuff with her kids, scenic, narrative, has really nice color theory, things like that. And Rico is going to be in the house. If you guys want to try out any of the GR cameras, they will be here pretty much half of the day, like 2 to 5. They might come a little earlier, might stay a little later, but pretty much if you're in New York and you want to play around with any of the GR cameras, swing on by. And then Thursday, that's on Thursday. Then also on Thursday, Daniel Norton makes his triumphant return. He's going to be here doing corporate portraits in 30 minutes. So if you are out there hustling, trying to make some decent living out there, and you want to go and get shots ready for a client, like a corporation, get it going in 30 minutes, keep it set up, and then run through high volume, and you've got yourself a business. Don't forget, every single person that you shoot is a chance for another job, right? Especially if they move on to another company and they had a good experience with you, they are going to talk about you when it comes time for their next company to get headshots, right? So make sure what I'm trying to get at is that this is probably one of the more useful, not useful, I say like practical. This is one of the more practical demos we do here. So make sure you jump in, okay? And then Victoria Will be here on March 25th. Victoria Will is an incredible photographer. She's known a lot for celebrity portraiture. One of the big things she did and put a book out under Peanut Press Books. Ooh, I hope I didn't say that wrong. Under Peanut Press Books, she did tintypes of all these celebrities at, I think, Sundance. And it was really, really cool. She shot an incredible portrait of Philip Seymour Hoffman. So she's very cool. She's going to be back. And then Daniel Norton's going to be coming back again on March 26th, shooting a hybrid ad campaign. So how to shoot for print and basically shoot for like word layouts and stuff like that. You're going to want to be sure to stay up on that. So very, very stacked month for March. Sorry, I'm like tripping over my words. I'm so tired, guys. Is Adorama still doing the photo critiques? We haven't booked them yet because honestly, me and Daniel have been out of town every 3 weeks. Plus we have the events, plus we have all the content, plus got to do the channels, plus we have our own careers, right? So we're not taking the critiques off the table, but we don't have any on the docket yet. So maybe when we get back from NAB next month, we'll start figuring out what dates to do. And I think we'll probably stick to like one specific day a month, like the last whatever of the month or something like that. We'll try to do that. You have to be in person for that. We don't stream it. So, you know, it's one of those things that we can't put super priority on because it's only going to, we're only going to, first of all, we have to set aside both of us at the same time, synchronize, and then do the critique for a handful of people, which we're happy to do. It's just we have so much other stuff that we have to get to first, you know? Did you do a walkthrough video of WPI? I did not, and I've never done a walkthrough video of WPI, actually. It's not a show that we cover on the Adorama channel, and I've never done it for my channel. To cover a show, there has to be something of urgency, like brand new releases and things that the brands are messaging and things like that. If it's just the stuff you already know about from the brands you already know, you know, it's tough to put out a video other than if you were to cover who's speaking, what they're speaking on, and the vibe of the show. And those don't typically do too well. The show is absolutely worth going to. I believe conferences are always worth going to. But for it to be like covered, it has to be kind of like a, there has to be some sort of media to it, you know, like if Canon was announcing a new camera and there was new announcements right before the show and you finally get to see it in person and then hear from the brand about the feedback they've gotten from the release, like that's when you start covering a show. If that makes any sense. Oh man, I feel like I'm already tripping on my words. You ever have like one of those, you ever so tired you're in a mode that like just the side of your face feels heavy and like you can't think forward? That's where I'm at. I don't know if there's anything you guys want to get into as far as actual shooting demo type stuff, but just make sure you're staying up on the main channel and this channel all week. There is stuff. Well, that's the thing. It's not that they don't announce anything at WPI. It's a weird ecosystem, right? Like the brands have to feel like the shows are large enough to hold the announcements so that the media will make sure to go to those shows to cover the announcements. But the show can't get any bigger unless people feel an urgency to go, like those announcements. I mean, they had Annie Leibovitz speak. I mean, you want to think about a living rock star of a photographer that even people that aren't in the industry would know, Annie Leibovitz, right? So the names can only bring so many people. It would have to get to a point where the brands are making a point to release something. And I think you would see something like smaller brands, you know, think like Magmod had their mag stand there, or, you know, maybe a backpack company, or like Small Rig releasing some kind of cool new like grip or something. Then you start gaining some momentum in that direction, you know. But don't forget, next month is NAB, which is where we'll be covering that show, because there'll be brand new lighting, new lenses, cinema gear, softwares, streaming systems. Like there's so much that gets released for NAB because that is the entire convention center of Vegas, not just one hall of a casino, basically, you know, which is major. It's major. The amount of walking that I do at NAB is insane. It's the size of the floor is just bananas, and it's multiple halls. So it's just huge, you know, and a lot of brands will hold their cards to their chest till then. So if you have WPI and then NAB 3 weeks later, it's kind of hard to release something for WPI, you know. All right. Hey, what's up, for Mike? How you been? I think you did an amazing review of the 7200. Thank you so much. That video did not get nearly the views I needed it to get. So if you haven't checked it out, actually, I'll put it in the chat. I'll do some cheap promo for myself while we're answering questions. Usually everyone does their reviews outdoors, indoors. Yeah, so the reason I did it indoors was, one, that I needed a controlled environment because we can't show new released gear out in the wild. So unless I'm gonna go somewhere remote where there'll be no people that can see the lens before it's released, I can't do that, right? And the other reason was it was such a heavy fog in New York for the week that you couldn't see 10 feet past your face. So how am I going to use a long lens and condense all that fog down and get literally no images? So it wasn't ideal. And honestly, I only had like a couple of hours. So to take a variable out of changing outside conditions and keeping it inside and then it gives me basically what is there is what I will have to work with. So I went with that, you know. And I'm glad you appreciate that because that was not an easy shoot. I'll even do one of these. How's this? I'll do one of these. So it was like beyond dark in there. The 7200 f2.8 is a great lens, but when there's no light, there's no light. And you can see I'm setting up like a giant Fresnel to mimic stage light. And I'm trying to figure out how to light this black on black with all black space. But it ended up working out. Anyway, I'm not going to bore you with a video like that. I'm just going to, a video in a video like that is what I was meant to say. Man, I'm not doing well today, guys. Not doing well today. All right, so there is the, I'll even, can I pin it? Can I pin it to the top? I'll put the video, I'll pin it to the top if you guys want to watch it. It's a quick watch, like 10 minutes. And just so you know, every video that we do, or that I do at least, for a new product, I try to throw in like a lesson on top of that. So even if it's a lens video, there is like a lighting demo in there. You know what I mean? Like there is some kind of, sorry, everybody's yelling in my ear. I'm trying to think. Doesn't matter if I'm live. They just yell. Doesn't matter. What does it matter? No matter what the new product is, I try to do a lesson in there. There's like a famous 3-minute video I did, well, famous, but internally famous video of an SSD drive that I did, Adorama DG drive. And I talk about how to flip daylight. Yeah, this one. How to flip daylight into a green and shoot neutral. I think I talked about this before. Wow, was I young? Look at me. Look at this young go-getter. This is about a G drive. It's a 2-minute video, but I end up showing you guys how to change white balance and neutralize it with strobe at the same time. So you see how it's like a green daylight coming through the window and then she's neutral. So even though it's a hard drive video, you're still getting some kind of, wow, it's so old that there weren't even softboxes for the the A series lights from Pro Photo yet. So yeah, so I show you guys how to do that. 2-minute video. You know what I mean? So I'll put that in the chat as well. I feel like that's one of those videos that got lost because now it's kind of like that drive doesn't exist, so no one's gonna watch that video anymore. But it was a cool technique. I thought it was a cool technique 6 years ago. Geez. Okay, so I saw someone having a black interior softbox. Wait, where is my mouse? I saw someone having a black interior softbox. What would that be best used for? Nothing. I don't know how to express this. The black boxes are, Ab does a good job of talking about this. The black boxes are just overworking your lights. If you want light to reflect off of the softbox to then make an to then have light hit your subject, then to make an exposure at your camera, it's not that the black is eating that light. You're just over pumping the light so that it gets to a point where that material finally reflects the light. It's not going to do anything. They claim it'll stop specular highlights, but there's still a light source. A specular highlight is a reflection of the light source. If you have a light source, you have a specular highlight. And the dumbest thing is, if you put a diffuser in front of, okay, this isn't gonna help me, but I'll take it. Oh, you know what, this will help me. Okay, so if you have, this is a Power Snap strip box, or what should I say? If you have black under this, and this is still illuminating, guess what's reflecting off your subject? This diffuser. So the black doesn't do anything. It will beat the snot out of your lights. It'll probably overpower them by a few stops, constantly beating up your battery, beating up your tube, beating up your capacitors, overheating the light, probably shifting color if your light isn't of a higher pro brand. It's just like the whole concept of the black box doesn't make any sense. And Ab goes into it with like this crazy physics theory. Oh, I wish Ab was in the chat. I think it's called lambastic law or whatever. At some point, every substrate reflects light or you can't see it. And no matter what, even if there is black in here and you have black, even if you have black in here, this is still a light source. Guess what's going to reflect off of your subject? So the whole idea that they tell you that it's going to stop specular highlights just doesn't, it's just, I'm sorry, I don't buy it. And to be very honest with you, when I actually saw someone using it once, I believe that I saw a color shift happening. probably because you're overpowering the light so hard, the tube isn't staying consistent, and whatever that black is never true black. There's like a blue or a green to a lot of black out there. Have you ever bought like cheap black paper and has like a navy-ish kind of tone to it? You know? Oh, man. Sorry, that was just like, ugh. Ugh. Blah, blah, blah. Yeah. It's just, I don't know what to say about that. And sometimes, and I will say shamefully, that sometimes this industry just looks for things to sell you. Oh, you have the silver box? Oh, you have the white box? Do you have the black one? Like, what does it? They're just taking materials and sewing it together and going, maybe someone will find a use for this. You know, it just doesn't make any sense to me sometimes. You know, I am not, what is going on here? I am not I'm not one for the black boxes. Sorry. The only time I've seen black really help out is with something like, do I have one? A million years ago, this is close enough. A million years ago, I would black out the inside of these kind of things and put cinefoil to make like a very definitive snoot. So instead of light bouncing around in directions, my snoot was always more critical. So that's about the only time I've really been like, yeah, but a giant black box that you then put a diffuser in front of, that you then put white in front of, then this becomes your light source. So all you're doing is handicapping the light behind this light source. If anything, you're probably risking this not being even. So then what are you doing? It just makes no sense. And there's a reason it wasn't like the next thing that everybody started. What was it, like 2 years ago already that this dumbness came out? Rob Hall did a good video showing how like rough that thing, the concept of that was. Ab Cisse talked about it. Anthony from Tog Life did a whole bunch of videos on it, I think. So I don't know. I'm just enough. Sorry guys. Went on a whole tirade there. There is no true black. It always has to be a tone because it's a super dark pigment of that color. Yeah, there are like these ultra black substrates. They're expensive. There's this black paint that looks like you fell into a void. I forgot what it's called, but it's like, I'm talking like NASA stuff. You know, this is like beyond. Thanks so much, Eric. Whatever, man. I can only listen. I would rather you guys invest into stuff that keeps you shooting than say, oh, well, maybe there's a thing for this. Like, no, it's literally not. And everything that's been told to me about it, said to my face about it, argued with me about it, has not come through on the other side for me. I'm sorry. You know, it's funny. It's funny. You say that you're waiting for a green tinted box or a pink one. What's funny is you totally can do that. You can totally line the, oh my God. You can totally line the quadrants of your boxes with, or the panels, I should say, of your boxes with gels and get some kind of fun mixes. You know, I've seen people do like sort of warm tones. So it's like a little bit warm, but not too warm. But then you could argue, well, why not just use like a thinner gel? Meaning when you do full CTO on two sides, why not just do a half CTO gel over the light itself, right? Well, if you had something that was like an octagon and you wanted to do like green to one side and purple on the other, and maybe it would just mix and make another color. So like you would just gel the light itself, but I have seen people mess around with that. When it really comes into play is if you use it in the shop behind someone. So let's say I had an octabox and I put a different color gel or different color substrate on every panel. Once it's behind the subject, then you've got this kaleidoscope hit. When you're doing that, then it's a practical effect and it's not something that is basically changing the light itself. It's within the frame. It's a prop at that point. Does that make sense to you guys? So I'm all for messing with things and playing with things and seeing what you can DIY. You know that. I'm using pizza boxes over here, guys. But in the end, when you try to sell someone something, you better come correct at me. You know, I don't, as a guy that scraped a lot in my early days, every dollar to make something happen, like I just can't watch someone finding a way to get those dollars out of pockets, you know? Okay, so Black 4.0 is the name of the paint. That might be one of them, but I don't remember hearing that. But there is a deep black paint that's just kind of like scary black. You're like, what is going on? All right, so just so you know, guys, I have to bounce out of here a little early today. So I did set an alarm on my phone, so I don't want to eat up too much time on things. I was actually going to show you guys this because I just got it. This is the new Tank FocusPoint 30-liter magnetic roll top, and this buckle is sick. This is exactly what you expect from Tank. Super well built, really well thought out, and I'm pretty into it. You have the roll top section, which is, you know, your catch-all, and then you've got what you can essentially make into your own camera cube. And then the front pocket here, the front of the roll top here is your laptop sleeve. So instead of it being against your back, it's inside, but to the front, which is kind of interesting. And then you've got a nice catch-all pocket in the front as well. It's what I like about this one specifically is it doesn't come off of my back. So some of you might remember I broke a disc in my back a while ago. So I'm very conscious of weight that goes off my back. And this one feels like this wouldn't be the most hardcore bag. Like this isn't the bag that I would put for in when I'm going heavy onto a job. Like I still need a bigger bag with some more gear in it. But for a day banger that I still have to carry equipment with, I'm into it. I'm into it, and I know, given the track record of Tank, like I can beat it up and it'll still look great. It doesn't look, you know, you don't look like, you know what I'm talking about? You don't look like, you know, one of those punk trash rats that shows up, everything's always filthy or beaten or broken on you. And then you've got the side access still for your camera. So you still have the roll top part, which can be your catch-all day banger type bag, but you still have the ability to put like a protective photo bag aspect to it. For me, if it's all roll top, I would wrap a camera in like a donkey wrap and I would throw it in the bag, and the bag would be like bulky and weird. This still stays relatively narrow to my back, which I'm feeling. I'm into it. So all that said, if you're like me and you love roll tops, we don't get very many good ones in this industry. The FocusPoint 30-liter, I'm into it. Does it fit my Z9? I haven't even tried to put my Z9 in it yet. My Z9 does fit in my Wandered though. You have to put it upside down, but it fits. And I know this because I've been doing it for years, but I'm gonna say that I probably could make it fit because I have a Z6 III in here now, and I have about, let me see. I have about that much more space, so it might be tight, but I think I could do it. I think I could do it. So Tank is, if you know me, my rollers are all Tank. I like the Security V3 for my carry-on. Production Manager 30, the Production Manager 40 are some of my favorite cases. And when I saw them put out this roll top that looked pretty sleek, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna check it out. So I figured I would just kind of, this is my first day out with it. It's been on my back for a whole hour. But I figured since I had it with me and we're kind of just hanging out, I figured I'd just relay it to you guys. All right. I want the lowest profile bag for my Z9. I've been curious about this one. I'll try it out. I'll report back next week. I haven't tried the Z9 because my Z9 lives inside my Wandered Provoke 30. And to me, that's been the lowest profile bag, but I also carry a lot in that bag. Like if you guys saw me at WBI, you probably saw me like lugging 10 tons of junk. That was the Wandered. This, I feel, is a little tighter of a profile. I wouldn't overload it the way I do the Wandered, because the Wandered, while it says it's 31, I think it's a little more than that, honestly. And they also have the 41 version of that, which is really big. But this feels more of a hybrid between those bags and what I would take daily. This feels like if I only need to bring a camera and a couple lenses, or a camera and like one camera and something to go, and I just need the rest of my bag for like my life and my day here in New York, this feels like that bag. But it's super well made. Like it's so nice. The buckles are ridiculously nice. It's just well thought out, well designed, and I appreciate that, you know. And also the magnets up top here are nice little, you know, no Velcro, you know, just magnets. Can you guys see the flippiness? So Think Tank, guys, Focus 30. I'll put the link in the chat for that as well, I guess. Let me see if I can find it. Focus 30. Let's see. Think Tank, Focus. Oh, is it Focus or FocusPoint? So this is, you can see it comes in a smaller 22, and this is the 30. I'll put the 30 in the chat for you guys. Comes in a couple colors. I'm always one for the black, you know. You guys can check that out. Okay. Do you replace your backdrops often? I notice you keep them up. I would love to keep mine up, but I worry about them warping. I mean, this is a demo area. Everything gets beat up. The temperature's always changing. Humidity's always changing. So it kind of is what it is. If you ask anyone that does demos, you never really aim to finish an image, but the last thing I'm going to worry about is the background too much for something like this. I keep them up. Long story short. So black, white, gray, and I can work with that to do whatever we got to do in a smaller space like this. I'm not throwing like some weird color up there that like 1 in every 20 people I teach in here is going to use, you know. If we got to change the color, throw a gel on it. If I got to change the type of gray it is, I use lighting to do that, things like that. So if you are in a situation where you want to keep your backgrounds up on a wall, one, you need to have controlled temperature and humidity. Humidity is what's going to warp your backdrop. Okay. When you get waviness, when you get, you know, this kind of action going on, that's usually from humidity. And most people that have them high up, they don't realize that they put them near a vent. So I used to work for a makeup company that I shot for, and they give you the space that they give you and you're going to work with it, right? They put up out of the entire room, where did they put the backdrops? Literally touching the air vent. So the dead middle of the rolls of paper always had this like bubbling to them. Drove everybody that worked in that place crazy, to a point where we finally told them, like, can we just rip these racks off and flip the room to the other side? And it alleviated the problem somewhat. But if you're going to deal with like air conditioning or heat, that's a lot of shrinking and expanding of paper, because it's, you know, it's paper, it's organic, and any type of humidity is going to mess paper up for sure. They look like the Cobra buckles. Maybe they are. I don't know, but it is a cool buckle, and it's just like a cool looking bag. You know what I mean? You just got to wander 21. You feel like it's bulky. Wow, the 21 to me feels small. That's interesting. I feel like no matter what you do, you have to realize that your bag has to be bigger than what you put in it, right? You know what I mean? So what I aim for is bags that go across my back more than they come off of my back. Yeah, and one of the worst things you can do to me is give me a bag that feels like a turtle shell, one. Two, doesn't let me expand or shrink it. What I mean by that is one of the many reasons I love roll tops is if I'm not overloading it here, I can shrink it down to this, which, by the way, makes a big difference on airplanes when you got to put it under a seat. And you can latch it, and this is any roll top really, and then you can really just tie it down pretty hard and get that size down. You know what I mean? Otherwise, you know, you can load it up to the top and then, come on. And then you can take wow, this thing needs to get broken in a little bit. You can take your strap and put it over the roll top, and then you have like all this leeway here. And this comes from my bike messenger days. Does anybody, I mean, I used to rock chrome bags for everything. They used to sell chrome here at Adorama, actually. I remember I bought 2 bags here from, 2 chrome bags here over my years, you know? Yeah, the bag has to have padding, otherwise what are we doing, right? You know, I don't think people realize that when they say the pads are thick in a bag, you know that the pads compress over time. So you want to start out pretty relatively bulked up, and it compresses over time. The more you put into it, the more you wear it, the more environments it in, it softens up, they compress a little bit more. So I feel like people have to live with a bag for a little bit. And and this is going to sound snobby, but I feel like you can't really understand what a photo bag's going to be unless you've been through a few of them and you know what they age like, you know? So there's that as well. I could have a 300-pound bag and still want more space. Yeah, so I learned a long time ago that just because I have more room in my bag doesn't mean I need to find something to put in there, especially when you're out there and you're going to be collecting things from people. So there's plenty of times, especially with here at Adorama, we go do a video shoot, and next thing I know, I have to take something with me back that I wasn't planning on or whatever, or someone hands me a lens that I got to do a video on, or here's a camera body that I got to hide and before it's released, or, you know, here's 10 tons of batteries because you don't take them now, you're not going to get them, you know, something like that. So it's I know how it is, and it like rips your soul apart. Your ribs are killing you, but just because you have room in the bag doesn't mean you need to fill it. My roller case, if anybody that has seen my roller case, especially at the trade shows, I used to every tiny square inch. Now I'm like, you know what? I can get by with one less clamp. I can do it without this extra articulating. I'm like, you start looking at things you can peel away a little bit, and you'll be happier because you'll have more energy. You'll be lugging less. You'll be more in a mode to work. You'd be surprised how much that changes your whole game. It's not just about the way you shoot. It's about the way you're feeling while you're shooting sometimes, you know? And it sucks being completely eviscerated before you even get going. I've been at trade shows, smaller trade shows, where I'm watching people with like wagons and wagons of gear. But the more you learn, the more you're going to realize, oh, I can make this one thing do the 40 things that this is that I was bringing before. You know, like the more you're able to do with your hands and yourself, the less you feel you'll need to carry with you, because you'll be able to kind of cheat and work and flex with whatever. So instead of taking like 15 different soft boxes, you know that these 3 size soft boxes will still get me to a similar result, and I don't have to carry a bunch of junk. Plus, every time you take gear out with you, you're putting your investment at risk of something happening to it, right? So every time you take a softbox with you that you do not use, and after a while, it's been crunched in your bag over and over and over again, sometimes it's just not going to be there for you. You know, the material wears away, the corners break, and the rod goes through, or, you know, your diffusion material stops staying so white because who knows what environments it's been into. So try to really expand your skill set and get more deliberate with your gear choices of what you take with you. And I think you'd be surprised how much more you shoot, how much more you want to shoot, how much more energy you have while you're working with people. You know, it's pretty interesting. In fact, I remember seeing I don't know, maybe it's the years of going to trade shows, but like you can tell just by how someone's packed it or what they're carrying with them or how they're carrying with them that you're like, you're still kind of new to this, aren't you? You know, like, and that's fine. That's fine. But don't always feel like you have to take the world, because I think we all get nervous about, if I don't have it, I can't do it, right? If I don't have the thing, how can I do the thing? You know, if that was the case, I'd be dragging Fresnel's giant inverted soft boxes, huge arms. I mean, if that's what I really thought, like, you've seen me use everything. That Nikon video that I pinned to the top, look at that Fresnel. I would carry that thing everywhere, but I know it's specific and I'm not always going to use it. So I'm very deliberate when I pull that thing out, you know. This is facts. I've tried several bags before settling on Brevity jumper that I've used for 6 years, and it's time to upgrade since I bring that to every shoot. Listen, 6 years, you got your money out of that bag. I'll tell you that right now. There's so many great bags outside here. It comes down to what you'll actually use. And it's also, bags are so subjective because your body frame is different than everybody else's, right? Where you feel weight is different than where somebody else feels weight. Just the size of the straps. People have come, when I was younger, people would be like, oh, this is the best bag ever. And I'd try their bag, and the strap was so wide that I was like, this sucks. Like, I can't, this is not for me. But the bag was awesome for everybody else. Like, you know, things are so subjective. There's bags out there that I think are incredible, but I know for a fact they're a target because they look like you have a camera on you, and I don't play that. One of the things I loved about Think Tank when I was first going into Think Tank was most of their cases just look like carry-on luggage sometimes. Same thing with Tenba. Tenba does some great stuff with that too. And I think that, and I remember when I saw Joe McNally with a roller from Think Tank, and I said to myself, like, is this guy just using luggage? And then I realized it was just a really well-built kind of thing. Because as much as organization is key, durability is key, so is safety and security, right? You're going somewhere. You have so much of your investment on your back or rolling around. You know, in one case is 5 figures of your life, right? You know, so you got to kind of think about that as well. But the reputation of the bags themselves, I mean, I'm sorry, the brand of the bag themselves is massive. You know, you look out there, and I challenge you to find someone talking about Think Tank as if their stuff is made shoddy. Like, it's just so well built. It's just incredible, right? Or, you know, and that goes a long way. Sometimes the less they talk about a brand, the better, because they haven't had problems with it, right? You know, things like that, you know? I took my truck full of my lighting stuff for a dry lake shoot we did Sunday, and only used 10% of what I took. I know. And look, I'm the same way where it comes to, I don't know what I'm going to be thinking about or coming up with on the fly. And so I want to have stuff with me, but you learn what things will be versatile rather than the things that you can just switch to give you the one thing. You know, if I said to myself, I'm taking all these softboxes, but what if I want like a small punchy light? I might take one, I don't know, type of Magnum reflector or something. But I also know that I can take like a small soda can style light, put a tiny little Fresnel on that thing, and get close enough to what I'm looking for without having to take everything with me. So think about the versatility of your gear. Think about what's really worth taking with you all the time, because every time you take something out, you risk damage. Always. Especially if it's something that's not like meant to be out in the elements. You know, our cameras are weather sealed, our lenses are weather sealed like that, but soft boxes are not all weather, kids. You know what I mean? And I have boxes that are extremely expensive that will never leave my studio. I just won't take them anywhere except leaving them in my studio. I just can't risk it. It's just not worth it for me, you know, especially if I'm not going to use it. Plus lugging it, or if someone else grabs it, or what if that Uber driver just pulls it out weird because you didn't get to the trunk fast enough to say like, no, I got it. You know, who knows? Who knows? You know? So bags are super subjective. I think every photographer has like a giant pile of graveyard bags. I got 20 years of bags out there. You know what I mean? So I used to assist photographers in NYC and be responsible for thousands of gear. It's definitely a concern. It's a massive concern. And not only are you realizing that every time you walk out there that you are on a risk of it, there's stuff that you might not be able to get ever again. You know, I have some rare stuff over the years that you can't get fixed. It's not going to happen again. And so you really gotta make smarter choices when it comes to what you're putting out there at risk. You know, a pile, live in the suburbs, have a bag room. That's got to be pretty wild. And then you never really want to sell them, right? You're always like, well, I might want to go back to that, you know? And then you got to repack the bag. This is day one for this case, so I haven't really figured out how I want to live in the space with this thing. My wandered bags, they're all lived in beyond belief. I know exactly how I like those set up. I know exactly how I work with them. One of the worst things ever is a new bag and you forget where you packed something in there, and you knew that you put it in someplace safer so you wouldn't lose it, but it's got a hidden pocket behind another hidden pocket, and you're, you know, all that kind of stuff. But, you know, it's bags are one of those things that you have to, one, I would recommend you going into a store. If you're in New York, come to Adorama, try some bags on your actual back. If you're at a photo conference, just talk to someone who's got a bag you're interested in, ask them what they think about, ask them if you can just pick it up real quick. You'd be surprised how many people are like, yeah, go ahead, give it a shot, you know? Although, watch for the sweaty bags. You all know those sweaty bags, right? The sweaty bags, you know? So, yeah. Man. And they hold value, right? So when people look at a professional, well-made photo bag and it's like a $300 backpack, don't forget, if it's not disgusting, you could probably sell it to somebody for a decent amount rather than a $100 bag that is probably not going to make it to the end of the day, you know? But there's definitely been times that I bought lower cost bags just to store stuff in or to hand off to someone as if they're a case. Of course, Pelicans are always a good choice. Just get a hard case that you can constantly swap things in and out of. Like I would never take my think tank rollers and just use them to hand off gear to somebody. But what I would do is a Pelican that costs a third the price, that is super protective and that I can lock, you know? Yeah, you can definitely get a pack fitting for sure. I don't know. To me, it's still so subjective that I'm just gonna figure it out, you know. Side topic, I recently switched from the Canon R5 and haven't upgraded my lenses yet. How big of a quality difference do you think between the RF lenses and the new ones? I think we're at a point where you have to realize, one, the mirrorless lenses are going to resolve on higher resolution sensors differently. Your autofocus motors are absolutely a big deal. You know, if the lenses can't physically focus fast enough for the cameras you're using them on, what are you doing if you're shooting any kind of something quick, or even if you're just shooting events or something, like you just need it to be there for you. Your coatings are different. The edge-to-edge sharpness is a bigger deal because in DSLR land, we only focused towards the middle of the frame mainly. Focus breathing, if you are shooting any kind of video, DSLR lenses never took into account the focus breathing of the lens. Like this, this lens doesn't focus breathe. You're not gonna see the edges of the frame move with this, but this is a kit mirrorless lens that I'm streaming on right now. What is this one? I think this is, nope, that's also a kit lens. So if you're doing any kind of hybrid work, it's a big difference. Like at some point, if you have to think about what are your lenses not giving you that you think that you're looking for. If you're gonna tell me, are they a big quality difference? Do you think that they're not giving you quality now? Then it makes no difference to you, right? You know, there's people out there that are fine with manual lenses, shooting portraits in a studio, shooting street, whatever. But if you are shooting anything with any kind of action and you want that autofocus to be there and the lens elements are taking too long to get to where they gotta be, that alone to me is worth an upgrade. Because what's the lens doing if it's not there for me, you know? But I do think we are far enough along into mirrorless systems that I would start looking to, and wear and tear. I would start looking into updating. And the reason is, at some point, those lenses just, they get out of alignment. They don't stay where they're supposed to stay. You know, things have gotten inside of them. Moisture, fungus, dust. At some point, there isn't even a worth of repair if you're going to be needing them for a high level of optic. Meaning, it could still be a little janked up if you're fine having a funky little fun lens, great. But if you are looking for precision and what a real pro lens will give you, at some point the DSLR lenses are just aged out. We're talking about 30-year-old glass here. We're talking about like 3 decades old glass that's out there, you know? So, but again, unless you aren't seeing something that, if there's something you're looking for that you're not getting with that, then that's the real question. But as far as quality goes, you know, you tell me. Especially if you're someone that's just shooting and then like just throwing it on social. If you're not out there delivering to client or doing massive crops or video that's critical or whatever, like, you know, stuff. You got to kind of figure that out. Your 7200 video, you had an A2 with a soft bounce on it. How'd you get to stay on? I just did. I don't know. I literally turned the A2 vertical and I put the soft bounce on it and it stayed on there. I don't know. I don't know. But I also had a gel on there. So maybe it's sandwiched. I don't know. Fit for me. I don't know. Or maybe mine just worked in so much. I don't know. Just worked. It's always worked. I use the ProPhoto Soft Bounce as like a strip, like a strip box in the middle of, like it's like a pocket-sized strip box for me to some degree. It has a lot of spread on it, but you can soft bounce. This thing, it's pricey. Don't get me wrong, but it is literally this big that folds down flat that will fit into anywhere, and I have something that will kind of act like a strip box on the fly, just like in that video where you saw me use it for a warm hair light on Cassandra. So, you know, if you guys want to snoop on that. This thing was out day one of the A1, the first Speedlight ProPhoto ever put out. They had that as a modifier from day one, so, you know. Might be a cool video. Film yourself packing your bag for a gig. Explain your choices. You know, I did that here. I opened up my case, I think like probably the 4th or 5th week of this, and I walked through what I bring to shows and stuff. So look back on the playlist, you know. What just happened here? So that probably explains why I feel the focus tends to be slow, even though I switched to a better body. It totally can be. In fact, if you look at some lenses, so let's say, for example, you have like a 1.4 lens next to a 1.2 lens, but the 1.2 lens is $3,000, a 1.4 lens is $1,000. What's the difference if it's not even a full stop of light? Sometimes it has 2 extra motors in it. Sometimes the lens grouping is made so that they can take full groups of elements and get them to a point quicker because they're moving half the distance when they both can move, rather than one moving the entire length of the lens. Like the overall design sometimes is the reason, you know what I mean? So also the type of motors, there's stepping motors and there's voice coil motors. Stepping motors literally are the older motor, but a voice coil motor, it's actually kind of floating and it can just zip and be exact rather than in between. And there's a whole difference between the types of motors, how many motors, the lens element grouping, how many grouping, what's actually moving in your lens, and also the focus breathing, if it's even there, is it compensated for, all sorts of stuff. So if you feel that your autofocus is lacking, sometimes it can be just the lens, you know? So if you think about it, every time you shoot a photo, whatever you're using is a link in a chain, right? So at some point, so let's say I'm shooting high frame rate. My motor for my lens has to be there while my autofocus is telling my lens where to be. And then if I'm shooting 30 frames a second high resolution and my card is too slow, well, guess what? You're not shooting 30 frames because it's gonna stop. It's gonna say I'm full. And then you have to wait a few seconds and then you have to shoot again. And so the weak link in that chain is the card, not the camera, right? So there's always something. There's always something in the link. You know? My comment just cost, sir, I don't care what you buy. I don't care what you guys are buying. I should say I'm not trying to sell you anything. What I care is that you get the equipment that is keeping you in the game. Whatever makes you want to shoot, whatever gives you the results you want, whatever isn't making it harder for you, you know, you're talking to a guy that's using pizza boxes and balloons to create light here, you know, and I'm 100% in on you get what you pay for in this industry, without a doubt. But sometimes it's not about like more money is the best. It's more like what gives me that result and how can I rely on that thing, right? So if you said to me, well, I really like lenses that actually have like a dreamy look to them. Well, guess what? Those lenses are pretty low cost because they're not optically pristine, but you want that look, they're out there for you. You know what I mean? But I'd rather you buy one that will last you 10 years than one that you buy with no name from a random seller on some stupid jungle website and then wonder why it doesn't work anymore after a couple days or a couple months rather, or it seizes on you, or the elements fall apart, or the rubber rips off, or there's no sealing on it. And because there's no sealing, something creeps in. And while something creeps into that lens, it then gets into your camera body. And then when it gets into your camera body, hey, when I say creep in, I mean things like moisture and stuff like that. I'm all for like random cheap gear doing cool things, but there's a reliability you have to think about as well, especially when the shots aren't just for you, they're for everyone that's involved. You know, when I shoot, I got people, I got a, you know, teams of people that are like waiting for me to finish or get something across the goal line there, you know? But if it's for you, knock yourself out. There's some really chintzy gear I have in my collection that I will pull out when it's appropriate. I won't travel with that gear because it will never make it back, but it does something that, there's something about it that I like, you know? Oh, there's my alarm. Okay. Guys, I got to get going in a couple minutes. Last call for questions. I got a couple minutes. Boy. Let me see. What kind of bag do you use when doing larger jobs? I use the Tank Production Manager 40 and 30. The largest one I have is the 40 because I still have to get into a trunk of a car. And if I need something like C-stands, I'll either rent them where I'm going, or if I'm working somewhere that might even have them, like an arena job or something like that, or a studio that they're renting for me or something like that, you know? But the Production Manager 40 is usually my go-to. I've really, Tank Production 40, let me see. Yeah, this one, temporarily on back order. This guy. So this has been, I mean, it lives in my studio right now, holding my lights while they're in my studio. So you have some Westcott lights and you buy some strip lights. Well, 1x3, 4, 1x2, 1x6, silver, white. You know, think about what strip light you actually need, what you want, and then set yourself a budget and go from there. Westcott has the switch system if you want to keep it Westcott with Westcott. The Adorama house brand makes Parasnap. This is a 1x, I want to say 3, right? So you've got options, but set what size you think you really want, what type you really want, what's your budget, and look at your options, okay? But keep them the same brand, because once you start mixing brands, some might shoot colder, meaning bluer, some might shoot warmer, right? So, and you want consistency. So just stay in the same brand of boxes, whatever you go with, okay? All right. Guys, I do have to get going. I'm sorry, I have to get on a call. Sorry to cut this one short. We didn't even shoot anything. Once again, I'm sorry, Quinn. Guys, do me a favor. What's in the bottle? This is matcha mushroom stuff. I don't know. I like this mushroom powder coffee that they got, and this is a matcha version of it. So I don't feel like I'm drinking coffee all day and then like crashing my brains out. Plus, I like matcha a lot. So, and they just made matcha ruggle at Bread's Bakery a few blocks over. I got to give it a shot. Got to give it a shot. Guys, do me a favor. Hit me up here. I always post a question sticker on my Instagram before I go live to these things. There's 42 other episodes of this. Take a look at the playlist, please. The views are pretty down. So if there's something I didn't cover, there might be something I covered in those 42 other episodes. Tomorrow, live right here is a women's photography panel hosted by Susan Stripling. Wednesday, Meg Lokes is going to be on Coffee with Creators at 11 a.m. And then 5 p.m. she'll be right here shooting live. Thursday, Daniel Norton will be right here shooting live. I think corporate portraits in 30 minutes, which is a really practical, Really great demo, especially if you're trying to hustle out there and start making a living at this. Make sure you check out the adorama.com/events page so you stay up on all the events. Hit subscribe if you're new here. We're almost at 75,000. I want that silver play button plaque on this wall, kids. We need to get to 100K. We're going to get there. It's going to happen this year. I can feel it. I feel like it's going to happen by summer. We'll see what happens. Bring a friend to one of these streams. Go check out some of my demos on this channel. I just put up a video of me and Absi say together. I made a mixtape of our old demos together. So go check that out if you're looking for something else to play today. The 8-hour, 2 8-hour marathons are on this channel. If you need a screensaver, something to play while you're editing, the all-day replays, you got 2 of them. Go put them on. You know, you'd be surprised how much you didn't realize you didn't understand the first time around or from a year ago. Okay, so go check that out. If you're watching this back on playback, I'm gonna have you say, let's see how many people can't even spell this right. Rugula. Oh yeah, yep. Type Rugula in the comments. I'll see you there. I will see you back here tomorrow. And don't forget the bell, because this is mainly a live channel. You're gonna want the bell so you're notified when we go live. Guys, thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of your week. I will see you you'll probably see me more like Wednesday when I go live with Meg. I'll see you in a little bit, guys. Later. Peace.